Welcome to the Less Stress Life, where we believe that you don't deserve food sensitivities, fatigue, or just general inflammation. My name is Christa Biegler, and I'm your host. I'm a dietitian and integrative nutritionist, and this episode is sponsored by Rupa Health, who is a lab concierge service that combines over 25 different labs into one convenient portal, so you can order things on the fly and get them all back into one nice place. They also sync up with my preferred client management system, Practice Better, and they also allow me to order certain blood labs for clients about 60% off of retail. So I recently posted a reel on my Instagram, Anti-Inflammatory Nutritionist, on exactly how I do that. So I hope that's helpful. Today, I'm trying out something new, which is really listener Q&A or questions I get via the gram, or you can also drop questions if you go to lessstresslife.com. There's a little widget on the side and it's called SpeakPipe, and you can submit an audio question there as well. So I'm going to start doing this pretty regularly, taking Q&As and talking about them. And today we're talking about pregnancy, constipation, dandruff, and red light. So pretty good gamut. The first question is the most straightforward and the easiest, so I'll start with that one. And the question was, which red light do you use? I have a platinum LED red light. And when I was doing the research on this, it was very early COVID times. I think I was just needing a new thing. We know that the research on red light is that it increases ATP production in the cell. That's kind of the basis. So that said, it could help every cell. So it is related to a million different research-based benefits, because if you improve the energy producing capacity of the cell, then everything could improve. Now, do I see dramatic changes when I sit in my red light? Now, I haven't been very consistent with that particular thing. I've got a lot of little things, and some give more of an immediate response than others, but I do use it sometimes. And really it's about one of those things where you kind of set up a habit. So Juve is really, really popular on the market. I think when I was looking at things, Juve was more expensive for the same product, and Platinum LED had some very compelling kind of, I don't know if we call them, I can't remember what they're called, like meters that tested the intensity, and Platinum's was a little bit better. I think that the customer service is kind of like a one or two man show. So that is what it is. I bought a few red lights from them. So that's the red light I use. And that's kind of the basic principle to red light. And I do think, I'll just mention, I think that the place that red light is best used is with hair loss in clients. That's what I've seen anyway. All right. So let's talk about itchy scalp on the note of the head. Let's talk about itchy scalp with dandruff. Any thoughts on what's going on was the question. And yeah, tons of thoughts on what's going on. In general, we've got this fungal strain called Malassezia, and we know that it's at much higher populations from about our shoulders up. And so it's usually a fungal overgrowth. Typically, it can certainly be a bacterial imbalance. So it's topical and internal, I believe, as someone who knows all about this. A lot of topical products are going to have zinc in them. It's an antifungal from a topical perspective. Vitamin A can be antifungal as well. So there's some different products I like. Malibu is a product, and they've got like this scalp packet that is nice. I like, none of these are sponsored. I shouldn't even talk about this. There's this shampoo bar that I think is really gentle. It doesn't advertise for this. It's called, I think it's Viori or something, Buori or Viori. One of them are leggings. One of them is a shampoo bar. But yeah, it's generally fungus. It's really frustrating. And I would also say, like, screen the rest of your body for other signs of fungus: white coated tongue, sugar cravings, bloating, toenail fungus, athlete's foot, yeast infection history, etc. And if there's a lot of that showing up, it doesn't always show up in stool tests. It's actually not very common to show out in the stool. Oh, itchy ears is a really big one, and sinus congestion can be fungal stuff too. So the answer for fungus is not to restrict sugar long term. It certainly can exacerbate the symptoms of it, but you want to get in there and figure out what the root cause is. For example, mold is a really gnarly giant fungus. So just some thoughts. No question is simple, I feel. So the last question for today is, what are some pregnancy-safe constipation recommendations? I'm in a bad way. I take fiber, drink a gallon of water daily, drink a high-fiber smoothie every day along with chia seeds. I've tried Miralax, and I am honestly very bad at remembering to take it, but it's the only other thing what is the only other thing I can do besides increasing fiber? I also take probiotics. This is my third pregnancy, and the constipation has been awful all 3 times. So many thoughts. For one, our toolbox with just Miralax is a little inadequate. In general, constipation, I have a bajillion ideas. I deal with constipation all day long in practice, but with pregnancy, sometimes you have to be more gentle. And this is kind of a public health forum, right? So I'm going to give you we're just going to talk about some basics. First of all, extreme constipation is one of the 3 dead ringers for sluggish thyroid in pregnancy. So you should go and have your thyroid checked. It wouldn't be automatically done. No, just because you had blood labs done doesn't mean anyone checked your thyroid. And there was an episode probably a month ago where I go off on quite a tangent about thyroid testing in general. But if you have extreme constipation, extreme fatigue, can't remember the third one, during pregnancy especially, you have a greater risk for having sluggish thyroid or thyroid issues in pregnancy and postpartum. We have episodes on that too. Dr. Christine Marin did one on postpartum thyroiditis, and it's extremely undertreated and underdiagnosed. Extremely. What happens is your nutrient needs, in general, I have a strong feeling most people have a sluggish thyroid, at least everyone I talk to, because if you've got sluggish motility and you've got fatigue and you ever feel cold and you have some hair loss, or it just depends on the severity. And by the way, if you have a potential for fungal overgrowth, that can be a sluggish thyroid situation as well. So everything seems to be related. But with pregnancy, your needs go up, and with postpartum, you've got some needs. So the same things that support your thyroid, those nutrients, the overall needs go up. And if your intake of those doesn't go up, which I promise it probably wouldn't, if anything, usually you feel worse. A lot of people, especially if you're having constipation, if you're kind of backed up like that, you may also be one of the people whose motility is kind of like doing the opposite. It's going up instead of down. So it's like all the worst things at once. It's exciting. So I want you to get assessed for thyroid condition first. Quite honestly, I want you to go have blood labs done, a full thyroid panel, not like a TSH, like give me a break. Then there are like several little tricks. I think the root cause is most optimal, getting to the root cause. Sometimes you can't do everything you need to do during pregnancy. Quite honestly, pregnancy can just exacerbate it. Sometimes in general, if you add a bunch of fiber all at once, sometimes doing too much in the short term actually can impact you. So you do want to maybe be checked for impaction. Hopefully a good provider can check and see if you've got you can actually even be having a bowel movement daily and have some impaction, and it can cause a lot of pain. So that's not good. So here are some like little constipation tips and tricks. If you're not getting, these are not root cause things, but they can help move a bowel, and you do need to move bowels. So you can get up and drink some lemon water, especially if the water is warm or even hot with some lemon, then that can be helpful. You can drink it very slowly. You can also drink hot water in general a little bit while you're doing a wall squat. So a couple things, you can do some structural changes and then kind of support the acid in the stomach naturally with some lemon juice or something like that. You can also do the other like main thing that makes sense that's kind of safe is magnesium citrate. Citrate under the brand name where you find it most commonly on the shelf is Natural Calm. I think, doing that long term is definitely not a goal, but it is a less absorbable form of magnesium. You do get a symptomatic response, so you do actually still feel kind of good and calm, but it does, because it's not absorbable, it kind of pushes bowels. So that's definitely an option as well. And you mentioned doing chia seeds in this question. I think that's not great because those can kind of gum up and gel up. I would actually do whole flaxseed. So you absorb the nutrients from ground flaxseed. Whole flaxseed just goes straight through you. So if you've got a piece of toast with something on top of it, you could put some whole flaxseed on it, and sometimes that'll stimulate your bowel movement. And then the only last like quick fix thing for bowels for pregnancy that makes sense for this context would be supporting the overall migrating motor complex. So when you support the migrating motor complex, that's like the motility of the gut going in the right direction. And ginger is really nice for that. So just some ginger tea. You can put a little knob of ginger in some hot tea. That can be helpful overall. Probably wouldn't do that in a supplement. I would just do it as ginger. And then it also has some good implications for nausea. So it's kind of a 2-for-1. And Not only that, a couple more things, just one more thing. Not having stomach acid and that whole thing is a whole conversation on its own, and having the right nutrients to do that is important. So potassium is kind of a big deal for that. So some higher potassium foods like banana or homemade cucumber juice or homemade juices in general, or a couple kiwis or all those things, just actually maybe looking at increasing your food-based sources of potassium could be an option that may be helpful as well. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, write a review, share it with a friend, share it with someone who needs it, and most of all, send me your questions because I'd love to answer them on the air for you here or give you my 2 cents. So you can send those questions to me at Anti-Inflammatory Nutritionist if you're on Instagram, or you can just go to lessstresslife.com and there's that speak pipe widget on the side and you can record a voice memo there and I'll put it into our Q&A.